about Andy Warhol?
Andy Warhol I met in '62. Again, the opposite of all those cliches. They're really kind and shy and gentle and loving, and so.
And there's this idea that the cliches about these guys are because of the art, the things they're able to say.
Well, it's sort of a persona. Each of them, like Andy was a gay man who just hated himself, but he actually had a great body and a big dick. And he has the Andy Warhol head sitting on top of, of this rather beautiful body.
Yeah.
And so, but he thinks he's ugly, so that creates what he thinks about himself, creates this myth of Andy Warhol.
Was he comfortable with his sexuality publicly at that point?
No. Andy, as you know, he was very uncomfortable.
But you were when you were younger, right?
Yes.
And so when you were in his company, he and yours, were you guys working on how to? Because as much as New York was a really progressive artistic scene, right? You know the rest of America, what it's like. Hell, it's still like that in parts of the country. You know, what was that process like of working through that together?
Well, it was interesting that Andy was a gay man, and Bob Rauschenberg was a gay man, and Jasper Johns was a gay man, and they did not allow any gay content in their work at all. I mean, it was like, because it was this being gay then and maybe now is the kiss of death for your career.
Right.
And so that was them, and that made me furious, because I come out of Allen Ginsberg and William Burroughs, so that was the interesting thing, but it didn't, they had a different agenda, and it didn't bother me.
You mentioned Burroughs' name. What was Willam S. Burroughs like? Because this is iconic. I mean, all the guys you hung with are iconic, mythical guys, yourself included. But what was Burroughs like?
He was very kind and shy and simple and loving.
Did you have a gun with him all the time?
Well, he did, actually. He had one in Kansas. He lived in Kansas after he left the bunker in New York there, and he kept it on his belt, loaded, not loaded during the day, but he slept with it under his bed sheet on the right side, loaded. Because he liked guns, you know. Yeah.
You mentioned Allen Ginsberg. Allen Ginsberg's a complicated. People love to lionize Allen Ginsberg, but then there's a lot of other stuff about him. What was your relationship like with Ginsberg?
Well, I knew him all my life, so I knew him in '58 and on and all the rest. Because I think that Allen had two sides. One, he was a really great poet. But the other thing about Allen, he was a great politician. And he might have been a greater politician than a poet even, or whatever. Because what he did, he created the Beat Generation. Jack Kerouac would be appalled if he saw what happened in the 60s, 70s, up until now. But Allen used it very skillfully in a political way to create all of that, create what ended up saying the gay marriage, or create liberation or freedom with in people's minds.